Hello everyone, it's Sir Chris back to give you another lecture on data structures and algorithms. For today's lecture, I will be discussing one of the most practical data structures that you will encounter in your professional careers, and that is the binary search tree. Now, the binary search tree is just like any other data structure we've discussed previously, but specifically it can be used to represent our set. So I have a set here called set A, and I have different values that are part of set A. How does it look like when it goes into a binary search tree? As a teaser, let's take a look at what happens when we visualize how these elements are stored in a binary search tree. So let's insert them one at a time. So we have 10, it's inserted. 5 is inserted. 14 is inserted. 12, 7, 18, and 15. So normally in class I would have asked you what you've noticed, but because we're not in class, let me just show you what it looks like. So you'll notice that it looks like a tree, but you'll also notice that there are only at most 2 children per node in the tree. So 10 has 2 children, 14 has 2 children, 5 has 1, 18 has 15 or has 1 child. So by the word binary, it means there's only 2 possible children per node in your tree. And why is it a binary search tree? It's because you would be able to cut down in terms of the number of searches you do when you are looking for a specific element. And I will show you that in a bit. But for now, this is what your binary search tree looks like. Now let's go to the specifics and the definitions before we keep going into insert, delete, and find. So let's run the PowerPoint. So what are the core properties of a binary search tree? 1. It is a binary tree with an ordering property, meaning the order matters. And the specific ordering property we are discussing here is that all nodes in the left subtree have to be less than the parent node, and all nodes in the right subtree have to be greater than the parent node. So let's take a look at our tree again. All nodes to the left of my all nodes in the left subtree have to be less than the parent node. So for example, I have 10. All the nodes to the left of 10 have to be less than 10. In the same way, all nodes to the right of 10 have to be greater than 10. So you'll notice 10, 12, 14, 15, and 18 are all greater than 10. And 5 and 7 are less than 10. So that is one of our crucial properties as a BST. Nodes are labeled with elements that possess a linear order, which are comparable using greater than, less than, or equal to. And the property is essentially 5 is less than 10 and 10 is and 10 is less than 14, or you can say 14 is greater than 10. So just remember, everything to your left must be smaller than the parent. Everything to your right must be greater than your parent. And that applies to your subtrees as well. So everything to the right of 14 should be bigger, and everything to the left of 14 should be smaller. Very easy. What are the characteristics of your BST structure? It is considered height balance when the difference in the height between the left and right subtrees is at most 1. It's completely balanced when all of the levels except possibly the last level are completely filled from left to right. And it becomes skewed when the nodes have only one child. I will be showing you what this looks like in class, but essentially those are the definitions for the characteristics of BST structure. Operations and efficiency. The operations of a BST have an average runtime of O sub log 2 of n. Insertion, deletion, and member are the usual operations that we run. So just like with any abstract data type, we have adding a new node, removing a node, checking for a specific value existing in the tree, and then returns the smallest or largest value in the tree. So let's try to simulate the core BST operations. So take a look at what happens. Let's start with our search operation or find. So how does this work? So let me pause the animation and then let me zoom out a bit. Let's do something like this. I can move the controls, sorry. I can do it like this then. So, let's say I want to find the element 17. So take a look step by step on how that works. When you run the operation find, you always start at the root. So when you start at the root, you check, is 17 greater than or less than 10? So if it's bigger, you go to the right. If it's smaller, you go to the left. So in this case, because 17 is bigger than 10, I go to the right. So step forward, I'll check the next element or my right child. Next, I'm gonna check again. Is 17 bigger than 14 or smaller? It's bigger. So I go to the right. And then I do it again. Is 17 bigger or smaller than 18? It's smaller. So I go to the left. And then I compare. Is 15 greater than or less than? It's bigger. So it should go to the right. But because 15 no longer has any children, I stop right there and I can say that the element was not found. Very simple. Let's say I am going to look for 14. So if I look for 14, it's the same steps. You start at the root node. Is 14 bigger or smaller than 10? If it's bigger, go to the right. Check again. Is the element found? Is 14 found? Yes, it is. So you found your element. So it's essentially the logic for search is just go to the left if the element you're searching for is bigger or smaller rather, and go to the right if the element you are searching for is bigger. So it always starts with check the current element. Is it found or is the element equal to the item you are finding or the value you are looking for? If it is, then stop, you found the element. If it's not, move to the left or right depending on the value that you are searching for. And then you stop once you either find the element or you end up reaching a null, meaning your node does not have any children. Very easy, guys. Very nice. Okay? So, let's try to insert that number 17 that I was talking about a while ago. So, I would pause the video here and I want you to guess. Where do you think 17 will appear? Will it appear here? Will it appear here to the left subchild or right subchild? Where do you think it will appear? And who do you think will be the parent of 17? If you answered the parent of 17, sir, is going to be 15, then you are correct. So, just remember what you are going to do when you insert. Let's step forward. So you check here. Is 17 greater than 10 or is it bigger? Do I go to the left or to the right? I go to the right. 14. Is 17 bigger or smaller than 14? It's bigger, so I go to the right. Is 17 bigger or smaller than 18? I'll go to the left because it's smaller. And then we do this again. Is 17 bigger or smaller than 15? It's bigger, so I insert to the right. And you insert the element. Let's try to insert the number 1. So just like what we did a while ago, start from the root, go to the left, 5, go to the left, but because there's no more elements for this, insert to the left. So one thing you will notice is in BST, you're actually always inserting a leaf. So you'll always insert a leaf. So let's say we'll insert 6. Let's insert 6. So start from the root. 6 is smaller, so I go to the left. 5 and 6, 6 is bigger, so I go to the right. 7 and 6, 6 is smaller, so I go to the left and I insert to the left because I already encountered null. So it's all about going to the left and going to the right, or the left child or the right child, based on the value of the element you are comparing. Left for the smaller, right for the bigger. Next, we go on to the more interesting part, which is for the delete operation. Why is delete a very interesting operation? It's because what happens when I delete a node or a leaf? So in example, I delete 1, I delete 6, or I delete 17. Or what happens if I delete 7 and what happens to its only child? Or what happens if I delete 5 and what happens to its 2 children? So there are 3 different possibilities that happen when we delete. And these are as follows. So these are the steps we need to delete. So the first step is just the same as our find operation, which is look for the element. Iterate through the BST to check if the element exists. So loop through your tree and try to find the element. So if you found the element, handle the deletion cases. So there are 3 different cases. The first case is if you delete a leaf or one of these. What will you do? Delete the node and set the corresponding parent's child pointer to null. So let's try to do that. Let's try to delete the number 6. So if I were to delete number 6, it's as simple as searching for the number 6. So I found the number 6. And it's as simple as temp will point to 6. The left child of 7 will get null. And your 6 will get deleted. Free that node. So, very simple. What happens if I delete a node with 1 child? So if I delete a node with 1 child, we need you to link the deleted node's parent directly to the deleted node's only child. So meaning, ipaampon ang anak sa gidelete nga node to its parent. So let's say I'll delete 17. What we need to do here is, let's say I want to delete 15. What you need to do here first is, you'll have a temp pointing to 15, and you'll have 18 point to the child of 15 para maampon siya. So let's try to do that. Delete 17. So remember the first, not 17, 15 rather. So if I delete 15, the first step is search for the element. So let's search. Is 15 bigger or smaller? It's bigger, go to the right. Is 15 bigger or smaller than 14? Go to the right. Is 15 bigger or smaller than 18? Go to the left. And I found 15. So, what I need to do is I'll need to let a temp variable point to 15. I'll let 18 point to 17 and then delete 15. So take a look here. The bad thing about this visualization thing is it doesn't actually show that temp variable that's deleting this element. But I have full faith you guys know what to do. So take a look at what happens. So I let my 18 point to 17. So it's adopting that specific child. And now that it's been adopted, I'm free to kill the parent or delete the parent. And that's what your tree will look like now. Amazing, no? So remember, just to recap, if you delete a leaf, just delete it directly. So, and then update the left child of, or the left or right child of your current parent to be null. If it has one child, make the parent adopt the child, and then delete the node. And next, the final case would be, if a node has two children, replace the deleted element with its immediate predecessor, which is the max element in the left subtree or the min in the right subtree. So take a look at what happens here. Let's take a look at the meaning first, predecessor. So what do we mean by predecessor? It's the max element in the left subtree. So let's take a look at what happens. Let's try to delete 5, okay? Let's delete the number 5. Or maybe we should insert more elements first. So let's insert the number 3. And let's just skip. And let's insert the number 4. And skip. And let's insert... I wonder if I can insert 0. I think I can. Perfect. So let's skip forward. Let's take a look at what happens when we do something like this. So let's say we delete the number 5, okay? Take a look at what happens. When I delete the number 5, I'm of course going to look for the number 5. And once I found the number 5, I need to find its immediate predecessor or its successor. I'm not sure which ones they use here, but let's see how it works for this simulation. So if I step forward, I found the node to delete. So now, because I have so it's going to use the predecessor rule. So what the predecessor rule says is the max value in the left subtree. So I am deleting 5. So I need to look for the biggest value in the left subtree of 5. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to the left. I go to 1. I go to 3. And I go to 4. And that is the biggest value in my left subtree, or the max of my left subtree. So now that I have found that, what I will do is I am going to overwrite the value of 5 with 4, and then I'm going to delete 4. So I overwrote the node and I delete 4. If we were to do it with the successor, you do the same thing, but in that case, you need to look for the smallest value in the right subtree. So let's try to, I don't think I can simulate it with this, but let's just say I deleted 14. If I were to delete 14 and the rule or the instruction said to replace it with the successor, then you would need to go to the right subtree of 14, which is this entire element or this set of elements, and then look for the leftmost value, which is 17. So 17 will overwrite 14. But because we use the left predecessor or the immediate predecessor in this specific simulation, if I delete 14, take a look at what happens. So I'm searching for 14. go to the left subtree, find the biggest child or the rightmost element. Because 12 does not have any more children, I will just overwrite 14 and then delete. So be careful with the instructions in terms of deleting elements. So yeah, those are the most basic operations we have for binary search tree. We have our insert, delete, and member. But we also have the max and the min function, which returns the biggest value or the smallest value inside your tree. Now, I have a very simple way of explaining max or min. Getting the max is simply passing the tree as a parameter and iterating to the right child until you reach null. And that's how you get the max. So for example, if I were to look for the max of this specific tree, I just need to iterate to the right childs until you reach a null. So there's null here. So 18 is the biggest value in the tree, or the max. Alternatively, if I'll create a min function, I'll just iterate through the left children until I reach null. So I'll go to my left child 4, I'll go to my left child 1, I'll go to my left child 0, and there's no more left child of 0, so that means 0 is the smallest value or the min. So that's it for our discussion of BST. I would say it's very simple to understand. It's essentially just knowing or just checking which of the values are bigger or smaller, going to the left if it's smaller, going to the right if it's bigger, and make sure that you maintain the crucial rule that all nodes in the left subtree are less than the parent node, and all nodes in the right subtree are greater than the parent node. So, as a challenge for you guys, I want you to try and code the BST implementations for insert, delete, member, min, and max. So for insert, it's very simple. Given your tree and a new value to insert, insert the node into the BST. Delete, given a tree and the node you are going to delete or the value you are going to delete, delete that specific node or value from the tree if it exists. And of course, you know how to do member, min, and max. So, try to implement this at home. Well, you guys are all home since we're doing asynchronous. But yeah, try to implement this yourselves. I would consider this to be a simpler topic than what we're used to. And I'll see you in our next lesson where we will talk about POT. Now, the POT or the partially ordered tree makes use of the min and the max operations. So please make sure you know how to do these. And it has a structure that's very similar to our BST. Thank you everyone. This has been Sir Chris. See you when I see you. Bye.